Sometimes we don't reach our goals because we're heading in the wrong direction. When you miss the mark, provided you've attempted to hit it, it's simply life's way of pointing you to something even better. I know it's incredibly frustrating. We can't understand why things aren't working out, especially when we've been exerting so much effort. We've been maybe working even harder. But all that efforting, all that pushing and pushing with little to no results is just telling you that you're on the wrong track, that you're out of alignment. And my guess is that you know it because it just doesn't feel right. Why is that? It's because you're not living the life you were meant to live. You're not living your purpose. And most often that's because you're not even clear on what that purpose is. You've been so busy with life that everything just feels like one giant to-do list. Sure, you might make some progress, which feels good for a moment, but there's no lasting fulfillment. Well, coming up, we're going to change that. I am going to give you a few questions and a process that you can use to gain clarity, define your purpose, and tap your potential. It's coming up next. Stay with me. Welcome to Shift or Get Off the Pot, the podcast that helps you get out of your head and into action so you can make your dreams your reality. Let's get to it. I recently spoke at a women's entrepreneurial conference, and the energy in that room was incredible, as it always is when like-minded people come together and they share their ideas, their goals, their dreams, and they get feedback and support. The room was filled with people that had big dreams and big ideas. And I was there to give a talk about purpose, potential, and goals. And let me tell you, when it comes to potential, you have to have goals that stretch you. I'm not talking about SMART goals. Those are all about being realistic, and certainly they do serve a purpose. The SMART acronym, let's see if I remember this. The SMART acronym stands for specific, measurable, achievable, i.e. realistic, relevant, and time-bound. Well, certainly that is important. You have to have a deadline assigned to your goals, and those are great for structure and accountability. They can help you get a win or two, which can certainly help build confidence and momentum, both of which are game changers when you're going after your goals. But they can also keep you from playing full out, from dreaming big and tapping into your innate potential. Goals, truly effective goals, need to feel a little big. They need to feel bold. They need to wake something up inside of you that both excites you and scares you at the same time. You need those type of goals if you want to live a big life, if you want to tap into your potential. And why shouldn't you? They don't necessarily have to be monetary or materialistic goals, but those things will often come as a side benefit when you're tapping into your potential and you're living your life with purpose. So let's get back to the conference. What really stood out to me was how many people were struggling with clarity, not just with their goals, but with clarity about the overall picture for their life. Sure, they had these big ideas, they had these dreams, but then they didn't know really how to get going, what to do next. They weren't clear about really what was important to them and what was possible. And that lack of clarity is simply because you're afraid to state what you want, because you don't think you're worthy of it, which is just a conditioned belief. Or you're afraid of being greedy and asking for too much, which is just a mindset conditioned to believe in lack and limitation. Or you're so focused on what you don't want that you keep getting more of what you don't want. And you cannot allow your mind to see or even state what you do want. And the fourth reason for that lack of clarity is because you want certainty. You want to guarantee that you can achieve what you set out to achieve. And without that certainty, it's hard to even allow yourself to dream big and to see the possibilities because you become so used to playing it safe that you can't take a step forward. But here's the thing with goals, big goals. They're not meant to be realized. They're simply meant to stretch you. They're meant to awaken you to your patterns of behaviors and your beliefs so that you can gain clarity, challenge those beliefs, and step into your purpose. So you may have set some goals. Often these will be monetary goals or maybe a quota of some sort that you're trying to reach. And you may be working hard, putting in a lot of effort and pushing and pushing. You might reach some of them, but you don't feel fulfilled or you're not enjoying the process. And the process is as important as the attainment of the goal. Why is that? Because that's what stretches you into your potential. That's what awakens you to your purpose. And when you're not enjoying the process, when you don't feel fulfilled, you're in survival mode, at least mentally. And that's not a fun place to be. Physically, you probably have more than your basic needs met. You're taking care of things. Your life's okay. But that's just it. Your life is okay. And every once in a while, you may feel this nudge on your heart. It may start out like a whisper at first. It's just there asking you to uncover those dreams that you probably buried years ago, before life got busy, before you had all these responsibilities. And it may start out as a whisper, but eventually it will get louder and louder until it just feels like this dull ache on your heart. And that's when you know you're off track. That's when you know that somehow there's more for you. And that more is your purpose. A few episodes ago, I talked about the Japanese concept of Ikigai. Ikigai presents a framework, not just for finding purpose, but for cultivating a fulfilling life. It's the intersection of what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. It's where personal passion and contribution to others come together. And that's where real purpose lives. When you find your Ikigai, you're not just chasing goals. You're building a life that feels meaningful and deeply aligned. And everyone has that. Everyone has something that they are really good at, something that they can get excited about, something they can do easily or talk about for hours and completely enjoy. Acknowledging that to yourself tends to be the difficult part. Again, because of conditioned beliefs. So how do you change those beliefs and figure out what your purpose is? Well, I'll share with you in a moment a process that I outlined at the conference. It's a 5-step process that will help you tap into your purpose and activate more of your potential. Because here's the truth. Sometimes when our goals aren't working out the way we thought they would, it's not failure. It's just a sign that we're being pointed towards something bigger, something more meaningful. So when you feel like you're off track, you may feel like your mind is just spinning with this lack of clarity. You know you want something else, but you can't really identify just what that is. So how can you even go after something when you don't know what it is? Well, that's when you have to ask yourself some questions to clarify your direction, to calm your mind, and to help you start seeing more of your vision. And then once you've done that, then you can implement the 5-step process. So start by asking yourself, if you feel like there's something important you're supposed to be doing with your life. Oh my gosh, I felt like this for years. I used to ask myself why I can't just be content with my sales position. I was making great money. And I kept thinking, why can't I just like this more? But it was because I was trying to mold myself into someone I clearly wasn't. Because the alternative was to go after what I wanted. But damn, that was frightening. Like, what if it didn't work out? And who am I to think that I could do that? You know, all that negative mental chatter starts to fill your mind. And I started asking myself, okay, wait a minute. Would I truly be content living a life that was safe, but where I felt constricted, where I felt like a part of me was dying? Well, hell no. Of course not. But I had to take a real honest look at that, and I had to make a decision to go after what I wanted. And decision is powerful, provided you back it with action. So here's how that played out. I was in sales at the time, and I was doing really well. And I did like it. I liked it a lot initially. I was on straight commission. I was making great money. But then I got bored out of my flipping mind. Like, I just couldn't see having to go face another client. The money was great, but it was getting harder and harder for me to put a smile on and meet with clients. Something had to change. But I was afraid to walk away from the money. Yet at the same time, I wanted something more. I didn't know what that more was. So I started reading personal development books. I did a deep dive into purpose and life and meaning and all of that. And then I asked myself a second question. And that question was, how would my life be different if I really knew that I was on the right path? Well, that was an easy one for me to answer, because I just made a complete list of things that would be different. And all of them, every single one of them, were related to feelings, not material items, but the emotions I felt when I finally changed the course and I pursued my dreams. Things like I'd feel free. I'd be excited and energized to meet with clients. I'd have far more energy at the end of the day. I'd feel like I was truly helping others and providing something beneficial. And then I asked myself a third question. And that question is, what would I choose today if I did have clarity about who I'm here to be? In other words, if I really knew myself and acknowledged my dreams and my ideas, how would I show up for myself and for others? What would be my role in life? And this is where the concept of Ikigai comes in. I started thinking about the things I enjoyed and the things I really was good at, the things that would benefit others on some level, and of course, the things that I could be paid for. And the more I paid attention to these things, and I shifted my focus off the things I disliked, opportunities started to present themselves. My clients began to ask me to come and train their sales team. I was being asked to speak at sales and motivational conferences simply because I had had a lot of success in sales. Well, that eventually led to me producing conferences, sales and motivational conferences. And then it led me to start my event production company. And now even that's evolving once again with new divisions and multimedia projects that we're taking on. Because you see, your purpose is never a one and done. It will evolve as you continue to evolve. Most of us have been taught to follow the safe path. Finish school, get a degree, find a job, stick with it, blah, blah, blah. It's like we've been handed a checklist and told, hey, this is what success looks like. But if it doesn't feel like your version of success, that's something to pay attention to. So let's talk about what it looks like to build your life around your purpose, not just your obligations. What does it feel like to wake up excited at possibilities that are waiting for you? Imagine reconnecting with the version of yourself that once dreamed big dreams before life got busy, before you started settling. Imagine that your life, the way you spend your time, the energy you bring to each day, reflects something that truly matters to you. That's what happens when you live your life on purpose. Start by asking yourself those 3 questions, just as I did. And then you can implement this 5-step process. This will help you to stay on track and tap into your purpose. 1, you have to cultivate a desire to live more fully. Desire sparks decision if you pay attention to it. And everything you experience in life begins with a decision. So if you have a desire to live with more meaning, more joy, more alignment, then you get to decide if you're going to take action to live that way. Or you can decide to fold under excuses like, oh, it's too hard. I don't know how. I'm busy. I got bills to pay. All that crap. That just pulls you back to mediocrity. The truth is, most people feel at some point in their life a quiet longing to make a difference in this world or live in a way that feels deeply satisfying. It's called being human. So pay attention to your desires. The second step is to be ready to take action. Desire is the first spark, but what really changes your life is deciding to do something about it and take action. That takes courage, but it's worth it. The decisions and actions you make today have the power to shift your path, but nothing is going to happen without action. Even if it's imperfect action. Most people want to wait until they have clarity and certainty that things will work out the way that they intend. They want a guarantee, but life doesn't work that way. Life rewards you with clarity when you take action. And you're rarely going to know exactly how to accomplish a big goal. Why is that? Because goals aren't meant, remember, those big goals are not meant to be realized. They're meant to change you. They're meant to build you up, to give you confidence, to show you what's possible. But you will only see that when you take action, even if it's just a small baby step at first. You write that first chapter. You take that class. You run the first mile. You do what I did and you start asking yourself some questions so you can open your mind to the field of possibilities. Baby steps. Baby steps will always lead to progress and they will always propel you towards greater success. And then third, find a mentor, a guide of some sort. You don't have to figure it all out alone. Whether it's a course, a coach, a book, a trusted friend, get support and feedback. There's a reason why Tony Robbins, who owns 120 businesses, has a business coach. There's a reason why pro athletes have coaches, why actors have acting coaches, why speakers have speaking coaches. Everyone can use some help, support, feedback, to make adjustments. A supportive environment can help make discovering your purpose a lot easier, certainly more approachable, and even more enjoyable. And the fourth step is to stay open and adjust as you go. Because your purpose isn't going to be perfect right from the start. And as I said earlier, it's just not going to stay in one place. It's not going to stall. It's going to morph over time, simply because as you grow and learn more about yourself, your purpose will also grow. It will continue to evolve, and that's okay. You want to keep refining and keep listening. As you grow, you'll have to adjust your purpose so it aligns with your values and your gifts. It will most definitely change as you gain more experience and more insight. And finally, the fifth step, start living it. You have to start living it. Once you have clarity, begin making choices that reflect it. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight, but even small changes in how you spend your time, what you're reading, who you surround yourself with, what you say yes to or no to, those little changes will start to shift your experience in big ways. Big ways. The fact is that you have within you the ability to live the life you desire, to live with more confidence, more direction, more joy. You don't need to have all the answers, and you're not going to have all the answers, certainly not when you're just starting to step forward. You don't even need to see the whole picture. That will become clear as you start to take action. But you need to take the first step. Because that nudge you feel on your heart, that quiet stirring you've tried to ignore or maybe explain away, it's not random. That's your purpose calling. You can try to avoid it. You can push it aside. You can drown it out or bury it beneath the noise of daily life. I did for a long time. And maybe after a while, it will become a little bit quieter. It might even go numb for a bit, but just for a bit, because it never truly leaves. It's your soul calling you to evolve. It was placed within you for a reason, and it will keep calling softly, persistently, until you listen. So you start living your purpose by making a decision to figure it out and step into it. With one simple action, even if it's imperfect action, even if it's a small one, just promise yourself you'll take one step forward. Because each step is going to give you more clarity, far more clarity. And that's when you'll be on track to your purpose. Okay, that's it for this week. I'll be back with you again next week. And as usual, I will list all of these steps down below in the show notes, along with a few other free resources to help you get on track to playing full out and living your life with purpose. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If you want some help achieving your goals, you can grab the Success Bundle linked down below, or head over to my website, kimkellythompson.com, where I have several free resources to help you. If you like what you've heard today, please consider hitting that subscribe button and join me throughout the week for episodes that will help you make your dreams your reality. I'll be back again soon with another edition of Shift or Get Off the Pot.